And I keep asking myself, what if they build polytechnics without money? Instead of giving me 50 bob every day because I'm attending Akamukunji, if they build polytechnics, don't you think they would transform villages in Kenya? Because every 4 years we have graduates who go out there, open their small offices, their small businesses, they empower their siblings, they get married, they empower their children, as opposed to giving me 50 bob every day for 2 months. You see, that's economic development. Handouts are not economic development. It ends there. Then the NDGs, they had that, the have and the have-nots. To them, it was about the Europe and US giving us money. It was not about empowering us. So for them, they would always be the rich and would always be the poor. So because of those shortcomings, the UN again sat down and saw that they need to transform. Of course, they maintained the 7, but they included the new ones, which include the human rights. So there we go. That's still why we need them. First, we need to have a focal point. Then we all need to measure ourselves and see how our citizens are doing. And of course, we need to address the poverty and improve the lives. So here we are. Those are the MDGs. They were implemented from 2000 to 2015. And then from 2015 now we are journeying towards the 2030. And if you can see, the tree has more leaves, but it remains a tree. Yeah, so the objective is development, but the world has changed. In the 1980s, we didn't have the cell phone, but now we have the cell phone. And that's why I said yesterday, technology will propel us to achieve the SDGs faster than we thought. Because there are many things we can achieve with those small gadgets that we have. So there you go. The NDGs, they were developed by a few UN men in a boardroom in New York. So like I said, you're in New York, you have never been to Nairobi, but you have seen Kibera on TV saying Kenyans are living in poverty. So you do your boardroom thing, and you come to implement it here. First, when you land at Jomo Kenyatta Airport, you're surprised that there are planes in Kenya because you're thinking people live on trains. Then you go to a 5-star hotel and you're like, you mean these Kenyans have hotels? I thought they live in the bush. So of course the MDGs didn't work. So learning from that experience, the UN brought in member states and they discussed, including the Kenyans. You know we have Kenyans working at the UN. They brought in people from all member states and they discussed the SDGs. Yeah, and they're the ones who came up. You see 70 countries. And by the way, Kenya is way up there. Mukisa Kitui, doctor. What is he heading right now? Huh? Yes. Now, those are the kind of people who sit in these forums to discuss our issues because they've been there and they know what to go through. So 70 countries were involved. And at the end of the 2015, they came up with the 17 SDGs. And there they are. So which one did you miss out? Number 1 is no poverty. We talked about poverty, yeah? Number 2 is zero hunger. We talked about number 3, which is health. Number 4, quality education. 5 is gender. 6 is clean water and sanitation. Number 7 is affordable and clean energy. Then we have 8, decent work and economic growth, what he was talking about. Number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. You forgot to mention that. We are here because of that SDG, innovation. Number 10, reduced inequalities. 11 is sustainable cities and communities. 12 is responsible consumption and production. Then we have 13, climate action. 14, life below water. We'll talk about that. 15, life on land. Then we have 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. And then we have partnerships for the goals. Our work, the Kenya National Commission, revolves around SDGs, sustainable development. Remember we said UNESCO stands for United Nations Education. We have natural sciences, social human sciences, culture, and communication. I must have deleted communication because we have 5 programs at Knatcom. So that is the CI program. It has 3 mandates. Freedom of expression, we deal with the media. Media disseminate information. Access to information and knowledge, that is why we are here. Everything you do on mobile apps is about informing people. And then we have the media development where we train the media. So no poverty. We have talked about that. By 2030, ensure that all men and women, particularly the poor and the vulnerable, have equal rights to economic resources. Yeah? And one way that our government is addressing that is through that program where they're giving the old people money. Remember? Because for some reason or another, the sociologists need to do research in this. We have very many grandmothers and grandfathers taking care of grandchildren. Is that true? And when the parents of these children die, most of them are dropping out of school. So you see the poverty level continues to go down. Yeah, so each country, so the poverty levels continue to go down, and that's, different countries have a different remedy for their problems. For Kenya, they came up with that. Yeah, in other countries, they have those retirement packages for old people. They have money that they give to those who've been jobless for a while, like in the US, I forget what they call it. So each country has its own medicine for its problems. And that's one way that Kenya is addressing that issue. Hunger, we have talked about that. How you manage your land. There was talk about the way we do our farming. Is it wiser to have large-scale farming? Like if you come from a tea growing area, yeah? Naomi, is it wiser and more beneficial economically to have 10,000 acres of tea managed by a tea body as opposed to each family having 1 acre? Of course, large-scale farming pays more, yeah? So those are some of the issues that the Ministry of Land was discussing the other day. I don't remember what they are calling it, but they're trying to see whether they can get 10 families to farm and perhaps export that tea, which will bring in more money, as opposed to half an acre. You know, economies of scale? Yeah. So I don't know how far they have gone with that, but that could help reduce our hunger, especially the maize, The maize in Kitale, Nakuru, that's our bread basket, because we're going to have more output at a better price. This is good health. Global maternal mortality, the number of children dying every day, that has reduced in Kenya. It's a plus for us. The newborns, you can see in B. Then communicable diseases, premature mortality. It's mainly about how long we live in this world. Yeah, but for me, it's about what you're doing in this world, not the number of years that you live here. You know, your footprints. And then, of course, I talked about the air and water pollution, the number of people. It's going up every day. People who are dying from the air, water, and soil pollution. Then SD4, that's quality education. Very, very key. And those are some of the indicators. We're going to ensure that all girls and boys complete free, equitable, quality primary and secondary education. So Kenya, we are now at the high school level. We are done with the FPE. And now the government said they'll implement the secondary from high school. But the issue is always quality education. And you can see the ministry has revised the curriculum. You saw that? Now they have a bit of extra curriculum in the new one. And they also have something about talent. If a child is talented in sports, are they expected to score A? Yet you see that child could be a C student. Does that make that child a failure? Of course, the answer is no. The Americans thrive on their talent, you know. They're not A students. Michael Jordan was never an A student. Tiger Woods was not an A student. But there they are. They have talent. So that is something they have introduced in the curriculum. Huh? Then the gender disparities. Lincoln talked about girls not going to school. Huh? We still have a bit of that in Kenya, but I think there is a big improvement so that all children, regardless of the gender, can go to school. Then there's a literacy bit. We still have adult education classes in our country. For those who are not able to go to school then, they're still able to do so now. And knowledge and skills for sustainable development. And of course, I talked about culture of peace. That is why we're here. Peace, peace, peace is why UNESCO was formed. 5, gender equality. No need to talk about that. Clean water and sanitation, very key. Yeah, remember when there was a cholera outbreak? Yeah, you know it affected our tourism. Are you aware? Because when you Google and you see cholera in Kenya, it's not even cholera in Nairobi, they say cholera in Kenya. So there are very many cancellations. Because if visitors have never been to Kenya and that's the information they're getting, there's cholera, they won't even visit. So it's very important for us to manage our sanitation, especially in the rain. The drainage and all that, when it rains, everything mixes up, and the chances of diseases are very high for that. Then affordable and clean energy, we've talked about that. That can affect our health. This is target age, decent work. We have talked about that. We need equality, especially in salaries. Traditionally, men have always earned more, especially in the engineering department. But the world is trying to address that. The other day, the BBC released a report of the journalists working with them. And the men were earning at least 20% more than the women. Yet the women were doing more, and they even had better credentials. So it was a whole hullabaloo. The UK Parliament had to discuss it. Because why should you earn more because you're a man, yet I even have more credentials than you? The issue is the output and the equality. Yeah, I don't know what the conclusion was about the BBC, but that's how it has been traditionally. But like I said, the world is changing, so we have to adapt. Number 9 is infrastructure. Yeah, number 9 is infrastructure. You know how that works. How many have used the SGR? Said, you used it. Why did you prefer to use the SGR and not the bus? Si tumetumia basi 100 years, you know? Yeah. Mbona you decided to use the SGR?
It takes shorter time from Mombasa.
So you're able to get to Nairobi, do your business and go back. So it saves you time and it saves you money. And then you invest that money back into the economy. Yeah? So you see, it's a whole cycle. Transport is really a big issue as far as economic development is concerned. And that's one indicator that they look for when a country is hosting the Olympics or the World Cup, the efficiency of the transport system. If one stadium is in CBD and the other stadium is here, will people be able to finish that match in time for the second match? Yeah, transport is very key. And of course, tourism. If I want to go to the beach for 2 days, and I also want to go to the Rift Valley for a week, will I be able to combine the two? Can I be able to charter a flight from Mombasa to Masai Mara? Yeah, or will I use the bus? Then you find there's congestion on Mombasa Road, so you are late. You know, we need to fix our transport system, especially in our country, because of the traffic jam. It's very expensive. You see the analysis that they write about. I think we waste 10 million, I think $5 million US every day in a jam, because they calculate the hours each Kenyan is wasting on that road and the cost of the fuel. Yeah, so that is something that we need to look into. Number 9, industry and innovation. That is why we are here. We support all the other SDGs. Whether it's an app on education, whether it's an app on health, innovation is the way of the future. we've talked about that. Knowledge societies, UNESCO is very keen on that. Empowering societies, you know they say information is power. Yeah? So UNESCO is very keen on that. Number 10, inequality. We have talked about the gender, and we've also talked about persons living with special needs. And then this is something that I got from India that has to do with reduced inequalities. This is what they are focusing on. Our country may be focusing on other issues, but for them, look at the poverty level. Remember, they have a very high population. I think the second largest in the world. So their poverty levels are very high. But 22% of Indians right now are living below the poverty line. Then the literacy. In the last decade, it went up by 8.15. But can you see the number of people who are illiterate? 283 million. Isn't that a big number? Yeah. And then they have the caste system. You know about that? Where you can only socialize within your caste. And that increases the inequality because if you're born and raised in Karen, you can only marry there and live there. So your money continues to double, while people down there can only marry and engage to each other, and their poverty levels continue to widen. Eh? So I know they have a law to address that issue, but they're trying to address it so that things are much better for them. Then of course there's a big difference between the rural population and the urban population. The urban population is always more highly educated and they have more money at their disposal, and that is why they're building malls in the city centers, because the middle class have a little bit more money to spare for shopping. The people in the village may not even understand what a mall is. But anyhow, they're trying to bridge that gap.